T1. You're going to have to repair as best as you can, especially considering that T1 will have pick select or side selection. Blue side, chosen here for T1, but unusual right now. So that gives Karis, like I was saying, that opportunity to get that counter pick. And we were all talking about this before the show. Maokai probably banned every game this series, I'd say.
Yeah.
And it's the first ban.
It's most played for Umti, and Oner doesn't really play it. He plays a lot of Sejuani, he plays a ton of Vi, probably more than any other jungler here in the LCK. Oner a little bit specific in terms of his jungle pool. Like, obviously he can play pretty much anything, but in terms of what he is favoring in the jungle right now is a bit different from others outside of his, of course, Sejuani priority.
Kassadin also banned here. A lot of strong AD carries here that can be picked up early for T1 in this draft, if that's the path they want to take. We also see Zeus as Jace and Guma's Keria, or excuse me, Guma's Caitlyn. I associate Keria and Caitlyn together a little
Guma's Keria.
Yeah.
Keria's Guma.
So Elise is one of the picks we were looking at. Like, okay, is this one actually get through the draft? Definitely first pickable here on blue side. But now you have picks like the Lucian, Varus, Ashe. You know, I mean, Ashe definitely the one that has found the most success here with Sejuani. Could lock that one in first, and then it's very difficult to deny.
Oh boy. Let's.
This is the common offer because it's the first champion in the alphabet. So
there are also other reasons nowadays. But yes, Ashe certainly going to be the choice. I think that's definitely the smartest choice. Generally, they do go for the Lucian Nami if it's available, but Ashe just too strong right now.
Insta-lock on the Wukong Varus here for Brion. I think it's a pretty easy response here. You don't want the Ashe Varus. That's the strongest duo right now in the game.
How about Ashe Sejuani? Is that a stronger duo, Wolf?
I think it is stronger, and I think it is what they're going to get, but very difficult to pick the Sejuani into the Ashe, because you get locked down very easily, and you will just be trapped by the slows. Very frustrating early game to play. So we do see a stage.
Take them together.
And we've seen T1 specifically really like this Sivir Ashe lane. It's not the only team that's played it here in Korea, but gonna lock this one up early. This does kind of force a wave clear support, some sort of AoE here in the lane. It looks like Karma is going to be the choice here for Brion.
Should have been Xerath. Maybe someday.
One day it's gonna happen, but today is not that day.
Not today. Yep, the Karma going to be very nice in the bottom side with the lane. It does feel a bit scary for Bro that they gave over not only Ashe to Keria, the best Ashe support player in the LCK, but also Ashe Sejuani. Could that have been avoided? I think you would have had to take some big steps to avoid it. As you were mentioning before, there can be some negatives from it.
I mean, look at the 3 picks they banned.
It's rough.
If you give any of those 3 instead by banning the Ashe on red side here, you're also going to regret that. But they're just, T1 is just such a strong team. You have to respect all these picks. And K'Sante, not a surprise that we see that banned here on red side. Sylas, another one to look at here. And Karis has only played the 1 game of it this season. Did take the victory with it, but not a player you consider as a top Sylas in the LCK. And T1 might be able to just simply look past it. And with the K'Sante ban, you're not necessarily prioritizing Gnar here as T1 either. So I think that it probably will be left open. Fiora and the Jax banned away from Zeus, so preventing him from playing strong side laning champions here to buy time for the Sivir to scale and get to the late game.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean, there have been a lot of top bans already. Akali, not one of them, but it will be the second mid laner ban, I suppose. The Jace can be flexed.
Now, as T1, you're like, you can pick the Azir away from us. We would like to have Azir, but if you pick it away from us, we can play Sylas into this ourselves because we left it open. So have a pretty nice matchup for the Sylas. You can, of course, fight and side lane really well with the Sylas later on, if that's what Faker wants to play in this draft.
Maybe he goes back to the Oner. It's not into Kassadin, but Victor.
We saw Faker play an amazing game of Victor in that first game in the Nongshim series last week. And he's going to lock it in here with the Gnar. Could see something like a Camille here if you really wanted to try to lock down these carries here for T1. I like the Renekton a lot more. And it's Lord Morgan. He's got a
no respect to Lord Morgan's Renekton.
Well, the draft here for Brion couldn't be more basic, right? It's a very standard Varus Karma lane with Azir trying to get early control. You have a lot of really great team fighting around first, second Drake, first Herald, second Herald, honestly, too, depending on how the first fights go if you don't fall too far behind. But Sivir is going to spike early with Kraken Slayer, and the Ashe Sejuani combo we've talked about, I mean, so much it makes my head spin, is just so lethal into this draft for Brion. The only champions you feel like, I'd say champion you feel pretty good about that one coming towards is the Wukong, who could just clone away. Cleanse has to be taken, as you guys see on the Varus here for Hannah. There's just so many threats here for T1's draft, and at some point, it's hard to say draft difference. You just want to say Ashe difference, and Keria is our best Ashe player. You mentioned it earlier. I think there's no dispute.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Wolf. I think Keria is the best. It's very difficult to dispute that. The guy can play pretty much anything. You know, maybe not support Twitch. I'm sure he can play it decently, but, you know.
I think it's more about...
It's not the best pick right now.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's not about him as much as it is about how viable it is in pro play.
I like the highlights on the Counter-Strike, the spinning.
Yeah.
All the different colors, the red, the green, the orange. Very nice. No Jax in this game.
This is a draft where we like the victor. This is a draft where we like the victor. There's a lot of setup front line here for Faker to do a bajillion damage, and that he should in this draft.
Yeah. He will have to avoid Karis and a lot of that sweeping early on, and we'll see what Morgan can get done on the Renekton as well. Either way, guys, we are ready. Let's jump onto the rift for Game 1. The Brion fans not holding back.
No.
Very nice.
There's such a big fan base for Brion, I think, because they're the underdogs everyone wants to cheer for, and they have punched up so many times. If you think back to 2021, where they did it the most, taking out Damwon Kia back then, which was coming off of their Worlds title. It was like, wow, the only team they can beat is the best team, which was so bizarre, and they play to the level of their opponents. That's something they're very known for. And going into a series like this, you know that they are, again, the massive underdogs. And so many fans want to show up today just to say that I know T1 is not only potentially the best team in the LCK, and right now that seems to be the case, but also the most popular team in the LCK, and we're still going to show up and cheer. You'll love to see it.
And you mentioned, you mentioned Damwon Kia. They also did this to T1 as well. It was 6 matches ago, but it happened, and it was a 2-0. So... you know, history repeats itself. Will it repeat itself today? I'm not so sure if right now are the best conditions for it for the side of Bro. But those wins came off of Umti, and generally they often do for the side.
So
Brion rather.
Yes. Keria, by the way, just uses barrier to grab 60 gold, stack up his item with the Halo Blades. I think it's absolutely warranted. It's a really cool way to get an advantage and push this lane forward. Just absorb that cooldown from effort. And you're not going to be looking to trade super aggressively after this initially. Once Hannah does get a few levels in, you can use his kit fully to actually do that real damage. You're going to be sitting back and spell shielding that. But at level 1, get that gold as soon as possible. Try to get this sickle farmed out. Keria, I think, absolutely the right choice to force his way in there. Use that early Halo Blades damage and pick up that money. And he's going to push this wave in, too. Every time you see that plus 20, you know you're getting stacked up one step closer to finishing your item and one step closer to that Umbroglaive start potentially here.
Yep, that is the way of Ashe support and many AD carry supports. Carry support, not sure if that's a thing. AD support.
AD Keria. Come on, give me a response.
Sure, yes. Not going to spot him, but should spot that the camp is gone.
Should be enough information.
Yeah, they pinged it. So, yep. We're going to know that he could be going from Wolves to blue or from Wolves to the top side of the map, which is where he is. Oner back on Sejuani. He is like 5-1 on this pick.
Yes, 5-1. That's correct. He has been an amazing Sejuani, but he's been given the opportunity to play with Ashe so many times. Keria is 3-0 on the Ashe pick leading into this series, so half of those games. with the Sejuani. And
Sejuani in general doesn't have the highest win rate, so a lot of the wins are actually T1. I guess that makes sense.
A lot of those losses, unfortunately, for Clid as well. In the early part of the season, he played the champion. I think he's with 1-5 on it. Has been a bit of a rough one. So
20, 20, 20.
Yep, picking up the money. We always have to mention this because it's part of why this champ is strong. As Oner is seen.
Looking for the slow with the boomerang, but Oner's pretty far away. Looks like he was not quite in flash range. But there's the wallop, and Morgan not going to flash away from it. He will flash afterwards and just barely get out of there. As Oner was pretty close to setting that one up. Not quite close enough.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'll hold that thought.
Faker really doesn't want to flash here. And he will have to, actually. As the soldier dives forward, he will flash away.
Holds it to the last possible second. This is something we were talking about with Faker's Victor specifically into Fiesta last week, where he held his flash in so many moments where it looked like, oh, he is 100% dead if he doesn't flash, but he just barely walked it out. This time he is forced to use it. At least they're able to make something happen here with this Karma roam mid, because it was looking very bad here for not able to make a cross map, going topside, and then being so late to the party that he wasn't able to trade anything back. So at least they get Faker's flash here. See what he can do now with this red buff against Oner.
Good smite, securing that one. As tons of damage coming in, you can see what Sivir, even with just a pickaxe, is able to do, especially when you slow him down and you line up that Q.
Getting a heal out of effort. And Oner was never really in any danger. Gets the smite on the scuttle, and these types of aggressions.
Effort is really pressing the envelope here. And okay. He will be able to pick that up at least, but you see that Effort a little bit frustrated. Really trying to be as proactive as possible, but unfortunately that means he has to flash and now back, which is not going to make this bottom lane any easier for his AD carry.
Certainly not. Should be a lot more gold going over here to Keria. Might even cause Henna to lose some CS here. Level 6, when that is reached, is going to be another problem that we have to talk about here once this Ashe actually is just going to be basically on cooldown, finding potential setups here across the map. Faker flashed, but is going to run right back to lane here and get control instantly. Picked up a Dark Seal and boots, so putting the pressure on early and expecting that if this gets bloody early, he's going to be the benefactor of a lot of that extra ability power.
Yeah. That ult is actually really, really nice in terms of the timing. He's buying himself a way out of the lane when he doesn't have flash. He knows that, okay, there was some action on the bottom side. He was probably there. He could be coming mid at this time. It's also potential for his side, his team, to go for the dragon. So it kind of pushes in the wave, gives a little bit of priority as he wants to go for a back.
And they're just actually greedily pushing into the turret here instead of going for that early Drake. Trying to hit level 6. Here for Oner before that happens. I think it was part of the game plan, and he's backing now after Krugs. And every time Keria hits these players, just grab him plus 20. And you can see he's not doing it right now because he's already gotten it. He's just stacking it so fast. It's on cooldown.
That is going to clip Keria. Effort just trying to do his best to alleviate some of the pressure in this lane. It is not easy, though.
5:03. He's finished his support item at 7 minutes. 7 minutes into the game, he has it complete. That is a pretty quick completion there.
Yeah. In what world can Faker without flash run straight at Karus, who has flash and ult, when Faker doesn't have his? It's kind of interesting, as now they're trying to get on top of who does not have his clone, does not have level 6, and does not have his flash anymore. They're going to give first blood over to Oner. Not probably the first choice, but still, he was the one who set it up.
He was. Uses his flash for that one. We'll grab the scuttle, and this is right with the Rift Herald spawning. Keria did not quite get 6 here before this fight, but that's because T1 are just in such a good position so quickly to take this essentially right on spawn. That may not matter. He's going to share some of this experience with Faker and push this one through. Sivir has great wave clear and pushing power on the bottom side, so Henna has to decide right now, do I want to fight this with my, level 6 coming online for the Wukong soon, the early Renekton for Morgan, Karus is his ear with ult. Like, this is the fight that you're supposed to do with this comp. Like, it's not the best comp against what T1 has, obviously, in terms of the early leads and the deficit here for effort and stuff like that. But normally this comp wants to be fighting for Rift Herald, but right now they're like, you know, it's just not really viable. It's not realistic here. And if we let this Sivir push, it's going to become an even bigger problem. You can see how much of a gold lead he's sitting on right now already. And T1 just setting this one up very well, threatening mid and bottom push. And Brionne are going to respond here. They haven't taken the Drake just yet, but Brionne have no control on top or bottom of the map.
Yeah. T1 did this in the past where they kind of just ignored the early Drakes. Nowadays it feels like the Drakes are more powerful and they don't really do it as much anymore. But it certainly does feel like, as you were mentioning before, they had some opportunities to go for it, but they've kind of just said, let's wait for a better opportunity, I suppose. And right now, they're going to pick it up. Not sure that Bro have really an angle to get on in here.
Level 6 for Oner. Umpty also has that, but has no flash, right? On Wukong, doesn't have ability to close the gap, and they have the choke point controlled. And Sivir is significantly ahead. Zeus is really getting very annoying here.
Remember that Gnar was his debut champ, and it was the one that he looked super strong on, and we were like, whoa, this guy is crazy on Gnar. And then we realized he was kind of just crazy on everything. But he's also still insane on Gnar, so he kind of locked it in with a smile, because he was like, oh, you banned all these things like the Jace, the Fiora, the Jax. I'll just play Gnar. Why not?
Why not? And T1 take that control of the choke point on Drake. Grab the Drake. Move up here now. Start this Herald. Keria still hasn't hit 6 yet. Got to be very close to it.
Yeah, he's been trying.
Like, he's been spending a lot of time in this mid lane, soaking some of the experience there, but doesn't end up getting it. But either way, Herald goes over without a contest. Varus pushing bottom side here and is looking for a plate. I think he will get it, and I don't think the punish will be here fast enough, so at least Brionne going to get something back here.
Anna says, cool story, Bro, or perhaps T1. As, yeah, he's just going to kind of laugh at the on the hunt. He does not bite the bait. He doesn't think anyone else is coming, and he's like, yeah, I easily win this 1v1. And that he does. As Effort, still level 4. So we were talking about level 6 for Keria, but Effort's still working on level 5.
Yeah, he's spent a lot of time. Like, he obviously had to use his summoners. He had to back early. Spent a lot of time out of lane, which is part of why Hannah had that level lead for just a moment there on the bottom side as well, because he's spent more time in the lane alone. Yeah, and, you know, he's significantly behind in CS right now, about 20. Got that plate, but otherwise, right now, Guma feeling very nice with the advantages he has.
Just watching this top lane, like, generally we don't, but I think, especially in this game where T1 are basically just getting every single objective and Bro are kind of just sitting around, not able to do much. It's so awesome to watch Zeus' spacing, like his little micro movements that he does to basically just keep Morgan at arm's length the entire lane. It's so oppressive and so annoying.
Every boomerang
player.
Every boomerang he hits, he sends in, tries to set up a hyper proc. It happens to the best of us. Level 6, by the way.
Uh-oh.
Sejuani?
Ass and Sejuani? Oh, maybe Varus, or Karis, rather, has something else to say about that. Sweeps in 2 of them and says thank you very much for the free kills. Now Keria's caught out. He's definitely going to go down. That arrow unfortunately misses, but, I mean, who cares, bro? Get 3 kills.
Fans going wild here in the arena, and look, you had the opportunity there to go for the Ashe arrow into the Sejuani ult. You did it in the reverse angle there, and Keria waits so long. There's no follow-up damage. Victor, no mythic just yet, just a bunch of pieces of items here for Faker, and he ends up going down here. Flash down for him too, and bit of an overextension here. You had a lot of power and a lot of ideas about what you were going to do with this setup, but just no one there. Guma's all the way on the bottom side of the map.
It was pretty deep in the enemy jungle, too.
Yeah.
As we're going to see in the replay, they went very far for this one into an Azir and a choke point.
Yeah, with a ward just being cleared, too. Like, this is very aggressive, and Karis just flashes for this huge overextension. Keria ults him, and then it's just taken out here by the Wukong ultimate. So a ton of gold actually going over to Brionne here. Big mistake. You know, Ashe, Sejuani, very good, but not quite that good.
They're so good, they'll bait you into fights. Sometimes. The ones that look good because you know the power of the combo, but maybe not. That arrow does sail wide. That was actually pretty close. And T1 were able to finally use that Rift Herald and pick up some big plates in mid lane, so they're holding on to some of their power in the middle of the map, as Morgan is still struggling. not really his fault.
Talk about the comfort pick of Zeus here in his opening pick. It's obviously Morgan's most famous. I think only the Camille really coming second here in this top laner's repertoire. But the way that this lane has gone so far means that this Renekton pick has gotten no value whatsoever. I mean, plate gold going over to Oner, and Morgan is just catching waves, so he has no prio here topside. Which is part of why this Rift Herald went off without a hitch here, and T1 have gotten both objectives early, uncontested. Now, there was a unforced error, right? A pick opportunity that T1 chased a bit deep for, so Brion actually have taken a gold lead here, but game state still is, at the end of the day, Sivir's doing very well in lane, 30 CS up now. Guma's been left down there so long by himself. And you have a world where these Drakes are getting stacked early too, and with Cloud, Ocean, Infernal, Hextech, these are big souls that could be the ones that we get.
And Chemtech also on the cards.
We're hoping it's not that one. Well, T1 fans are. Brion, we'll see.
Yeah. Brion are like, please, I beg you, Lord Chemtech Drake. And it could happen. Bro are trying to set up for this. They must be feeling pretty confident about their current position just because of the last fight.
Teleports unleashed. Brion here have one ward, but it's going to be cleared, so no flank.
And it's Chemtech.
Why you sound so hyped about that, Valdez?
It's a very, very good soul. Just got buffed.
Yeah.
We'll see how much it can do here for whichever team is going to pick it up. But
T1 very willing to let that one go because Morgan did have TP. He wasn't showing on the map, didn't want to overextend. Brion had a lot more control over the Drake itself, and they have that Varus poke. Drake's got buffed in terms of their health a while back, but in these longer fights you feel good as Zeus.
Just like helping him do the red buff, not sure. Maybe baiting Morgan in. Bit of damage onto him. Very nice damage, actually, about 40%.
That was an insane amount of damage. The Trinity Force here stacked up very early for Zeus. And yeah, Gorge are not going to be too useful in this type of situation where no one's in melee range of you, as they're actually going to potentially set up a dive here onto a Renekton. They have an Ash Arrow in tow here for Keria.
Oh, there it is. And now it's just easy follow-up. You would think they would use like the point and click or the at least close range ones first, but no, they believed in Keria.
I trust him, and the angle was really good. If Morgan goes left there, then he's more exposed. I do agree with you that, you know, the execution could have been simpler, but doesn't matter at the end of the day. they take out Morgan here. The Renekton's one being dove is Guma. You know, Sejuani here, obviously is good for setting up combos, and unfortunately for Wukong, not quite able to close the gap this time. Spell Shield very useless against Cyclone normally if you can really get on top of the Sejuani, but Umpty's not able to this time. Because, I mean, he's pushing Oner right now. Yeah. Zeus is a man possessed after that last series.
This is just straight up, like, yes, now Morgan has been ganked, but before this, it was still just as oppressive. In the 1v1, it's so difficult.
One more time?
Play this as taking a lot of turret shots. Oner was definitely thinking about it, and Guma has just been the brunt of all of the action on the other side of the map as he's trying to get the kill here on the Guma. Umpty will eventually be able to do that and give the assist over to Henna.
Only got one spell shield. This is exactly what I was talking about a moment ago, so you can dive the Sivir here and hit that second one, get the knock up and secure the kill. But still, in terms of what is gained here on the map, it's hard to quantify what Brion really is getting because, I mean, this was just, yeah. I mean, we kind of said everything about it before. This moment down here, Guma knows this is coming, sticks around for a pretty long time to get that last cannon main, is greeting for it, it will get picked, but it's a Wukong picking up a kill here. He didn't go to the Varus. And a lot of the map control here, going to the top side of the map and the freedom that Zeus has now in a side lane, I think is way more valuable than this pick onto Guma, because he's already up 30 CS. He is Sivir, will have so much freedom to farm and wave clear in mid. That's what Sivir does best in the mid to late game, besides tons of damage. When we get to that later, if we ever have a 5v5 team fight. So at least they get something back here, but in the comparison, calling it a trade feels a little bit dishonest.
Keria even able to just waltz into the enemy jungle at this point. alone. I mean, T1 are only up 500 gold, but you can see kind of the map state at this point. It doesn't really feel like the gold is this even. I think, you know, that one fight really kind of gave Bro a chance back into this game, and Karis was able to pick up 3 assists. He's got a Leandries and a needlessly large rod already, so at least Bro do have some outs in this game, but T1 still controlling the map. As here we go, Faker a little bit low on mana. here as well, 1v2 as Faker is just trying to run away and buy as much time as possible. As there is another Q from Faker, but eventually Karis will take him down.
Now, can we see a cross map here onto Henna? That's what they're trying to set up. Herald over the wall. And Henna is going to back away towards his team. He'll get out just fine, but this is going to be a lot of turret gold going over. These kills, though, are stacking up against T1, right? There's a lot of money on this Azir. You mentioned the 3 assists. Now the kill coming over. He's going straight damage with this Leandries. And he's actually going to do a lot of damage here in a side, and no one is here to answer. He's being shadowed by here. And so advantages here diminishing quite significantly, I'd say, for T1. In terms of the gold with that turret going down, yeah, they took a huge lead, but the carry of the Azir here, one of the late game win conditions, is now completely online, whereas Faker picked up a Dark Steel, still sitting on 0 stacks on that one. Going for the Ludens build, it's not as much clean long-term damage in a fight. Does go down the path of Void Staff next, which I think is a good choice, but gotta be careful about how many of these stray kills you give over.
Yeah, Faker down 40 CS. At the same time, it is a pretty large chunk at this point in time. Effort is going to compress the Mantra, and that's about it. But yeah, they're just going to fight over positioning here on this Chemtech Drake, as it seems like T1 very much looking to throw down and get into here. They will have control of the river for now, but the Scuttle Crab was taken by Bro.
They can actually try to collapse onto Morgan here now on the bottom side of the map to force this into a split fight. Look at
Keria, he's all alone. He's got a barrier. He has to ult and flash just to get out of there, as does go pretty deep. Takes a beating there from Faker, as now Zeus just walks up to them in Mininar. He's going to have to flash away. Taking a massive amount of damage, though, as even the Chemtech Drake is getting in there.
You get Guma's damage here. It's massive, and this is going to be a back. And yes, Keria overstepped a little bit here, but his teammates were so close by. Sivir is pushing mid during this, and Rion eventually just have to pull the trigger. They can't wait any longer because Morgan can get collapsed on, right? He's under what's left of that bottom turret. And so you're losing out in mid, you're losing out in bottom, and you see this Ashe and you're like, I gotta do something, right? And this is gonna be Faker getting caught here in the side. Really nice ult from Karis, proactive play. Umpty's down here too. So this is where, you know, you do start to worry a little bit about how many kills are being given over to T1. This one given over to the proper carry. Karis picks it up. But look at the map here. Like, Morgan is caught under turret, right? He's stuck here. And Ashe just gets blast coned, by the way, from your favorite long-range blast cone.
Yeah, I love it.
Blue buff. That's the only reason why he was ever, quote-unquote, air quotes, in danger. And you can see how quickly the rest of T1 can collapse and support him. All the long-range damage here from Faker. Guma pushed that wave into inner turret, and then comes down here and over the wall is basically single-handedly pushing them away. So it looked like an overextension from Keria, but realistically it's just a desperation move from Brion. They almost got a gift, but they're not able to close it out.
Yeah, one Chemtech Drake now over to T1, so we get +1, I believe, percentage points compared to last patch on the tenacity and heal power for the support Ashe. But yeah, they're gonna pick it up. They're gonna get it. Very nice. One step closer to the soul, as the side lane is still kind of unsolved here for Bro, especially now that Zeus is even more fed. 1-0 and 1 did go for the new improved Grievous wounds on this Chain Pug Chem Sword. Zeus is in a little bit of trouble, but he has Meganar on the way. Can they burst him down? Yes, they can, as the teleport comes in. Faker's on top of 2 people. He has to flash, as Bro will very much accept that gift.
Bit of greed here, you know, from T1 in these moments. It feels like you said, the problem wasn't solved, this side laning Gnar. But, I mean, without Mega Gnar, you do commit to that fight, you do push it down, and you have the Azir side laning elsewhere, so it's not like you're losing much from this. And then Faker TPs and has to flash, you still kill the Gnar. I think if T1 had just shown a little bit more respect, I mean, this is not a Jax pushing, right? This is not a push where you're going to go ahead and take the inner out. It gets you a little bit more vision, but the objective isn't up for a long time. Bit of greed. does once again get punished here by Brion in a side.
Yeah.
Lots of money.
Zeus is trying to put on as much pressure as possible, and he will get caught out there. Keria takes 2 big bolts from the Baron as he's trying to volley over the wall. Got to be careful about that. Faker now no flash. Karis has his. So there is actually a little power play here for the side of Bro.
Yeah, no stopwatch for Faker either. You can see he's significantly behind in experience as well, about, 1.25 of a level at this moment in time. So he's been pushed out of lane so much, those kills really stacking up. No flash means he has to be careful here. And Brion, if they had better wave clear, or if this Renekton was relevant in the side, this would be a really scary situation. But as it is, even with Faker having to kind of farm under turret here, T1 can group up faster. They do have the better engage here with the Ashe Arrow and the Sejuani ult. So Brion, no flash on this Wukong means you're kind of walking at T1, but you can't really commit to anything without a Chains of Corruption. The initiation is missing big time.
They'll have to wait for either Faker or Zeus, but Zeus is kind of off in, side lane territory. But yeah, if Faker gets out of position, he'll definitely be a little bit of a sitting duck. He does not have a stopwatch yet, which might be his next item.
Yeah, and this is what I'm talking about. He has no stopwatch, he has no teleport, he has no flash. So if Brion are decisive now around this Baron, then maybe you can make a plays. And live, okay, nothing really significant. This is just the pick that we were talking about where Faker has to flash here. Does drop his gravity field off and will get away barely, but if Brion had pulled the trigger on this Baron, maybe they could have actually made this work, put Umpty on the choke point, control that with wards, and then maybe if T1 tried to rotate him with this Victor, who's not very strong at this point in time, you could take it. But they're not decisive enough, and it's not a ton of damage in their comp. They need the Azir to be on the Baron itself. So it's tricky, but I feel like the walls are closing in around Brion's comp and the scaling. Once Faker starts to get his items online, even though he's behind now, it won't be forever.
Guma also win for these fast quick blades. Not sure if you mentioned that, Wolf.
I was about to, but yeah, I mean, it's
pretty interesting. We didn't see that at all in our first series. We didn't see it that much in Challengers earlier on Monday and Tuesday, but it seems like Guma thinks it's going to be the way.
More Qs, more Ricochet. I mean, these are things that are going to be very frustrating to deal with in a team fight, and the wave clear he has is pretty massive. As notice the difference here, an itemization is going to be the anathemas for this Aftershock Sejuani. So killing Sedge is good luck.
It's not a thing. Probably put that on Karis, I'd have to imagine.
Yep.
Even though this is the on-hit Karis at this point in time. And Zeus is just going to take this dragon. Nobody really cares about this. Just going to take it for free. And
this happens to be closest to the lane he's in.
He's like, oh, I might as well. Feel like I'd rather be farming right now.
That's the T-shirt. That's a T-shirt. Yes, sir. I'd rather be farming.
rather be side laning.
Yeah. Well, Brion once again get control of top and the Baron itself, but because of this Gnar on the side and Morgan being under inner, they can't start it up. T1 very little vision.
They're going to start it up, but Oner is really tanky, so he can face check everything and get them positioned early. Let's see if they can actually threaten this, though. Umpty is taking a lot of damage. There's the arrow into Karis. Look at the laser as Karis is just being burst down, and Oner gets in there and steals it away. Very much a flip, and T1 will get away with murder and some more as the Gnar ult doesn't hit too much, but still going to get a lot of value at the end of the day. Karis also might be going down here if Keria has anything to say about it. No, he'll live. But Umpty, maybe not so good for him, as this should be 4 kills and the Baron to the side of T1.
Pretty sure he just changed his Anathema's chains to Umpty as well right in that moment, because it went on cooldown. He's like, yep, there's just no way you can kill me. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. And that's not on a very long cooldown, so he'll be able to reset it back to the carry. Karis, whenever he wants, essentially, there's not that much potentially left in this game. Honestly, Valdez, with this last exchange, the Baron going over to T1, it looked good until it didn't, right? Morgan has this long blast cone. It looks like, okay, they're going to turn, right? Surely they'll turn, right? They have an Azir, right? Who's level 16, right? No. And just casually with Faker's damage, walks up and takes it, Oner does. And Morgan, they just leave him out to dry. He's like, a long-range blast cone. I think we're turning, right? We're turning, Brion, right? Like, my team, we're turning, right? And they do not. And then Zeus gets in there with the Gnar. Faker does a ton of damage. And that may just be the back-breaking moment here, honestly. There's a lot of gold picked up for Faker. He's going to have a death cap soon.
Yeah, going for this build we see very often, except this time with Luden instead of Leandries. Morgan, once again, he still has flash, actually. I guess he didn't bother to use it in the last fight. And yeah, take a look at that gold graph. That's why, you know, I like the decision to be proactive and try to go for a Baron. I think it's okay as long as you have a plan B and not, you know, the support from challengers, but just a different plan from let's just try to flip it and see what happens, because that generally does not go well here in the LCK.
Yeah. Live Sandbox support is called Plan B for those who didn't get in Challengers.
You should watch Challengers, by the way. We cast it in English on Monday and Tuesday. It's very
LCK
fun.
CL Global 2023.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun with it too.
Check it out.
Definitely watch. Like and subscribe. Make sure to hit the bell.
That's right.
It is, though, for real.
It is. It's pretty sick. That's Joint Atlas is putting on a list of support players who are adding to the
the space debris. Yeah. It's a really big problem here in Runeterra.
Well, lots of control here to the side of T1, and as Keria normally does, most people build the Umberglaive and then push through with their vision advantage. Keria usually just rushes Mandate. He did that again this game. He doesn't have it, but they still have an immaculate amount of vision across the map now after this Baron take.
Yeah. The Chemtech Soul, the Chemtech Rift, definitely helping with that as well.
Yep.
As you just hit a couple of those scryers. Good.
See.
Faker spots the guy behind. Yeah. Scene, and they have some really nice range as well, as oh no, VAR is so close to his cleanse. Poor Henna didn't have flash, might not have mattered, but yeah, looks like T1 is going to put them out of their misery here in game number 1. 30 minutes in, Zeus has, well, he had a nice shield, and now he's gone. So T1, they lose their Gnar, as the two junglers are going head-to-head. Morgan and Karis together are relatively threatening, so in fact, they're just going to go away. Oner was just 1v1ing the Wukong, and he's just going to die as they take down the third inhibitor.
Look, it's not the cleanest T1 game we've ever seen. But they have a 6,000, 7,000, just keeps going up in the middle of my sentence, 7,000 gold lead here, taking out some inhibitors. And it's a little bit disjointed here after they take this one out. As you can see, they do take Henna down, and then I think there's a split call on from Zeus, like being like, all right, we just push to end this, right? And we get Faker, Guma pushing towards the top side of this, and then Zeus gets Emperor's Divided, is taken out, and then, Umpty's still on the flank, somebody's chasing him, and then the team is very split. Keria takes a ton of damage here, and yeah, looks like Oner, maybe this time he didn't get the Anathemas on the Wukong, so
maybe he was trying to taxi the wave in. Maybe taxi isn't the right word, but just like, you know, kind of shadow the wave, make sure it gets in, but like, I don't know, like they had a wave on the Nexus turret, so